Hello, everybody. Greetings from Chennai in South India. Today, I'm going to talk about mercury and its role in human health and disease. The word mercury evokes many images in our minds. It is a Roman name for the god whom the Greeks called Hermes, who was considered to be the messenger of the gods. In astronomy, there is a planet called Mercury. Mercury is found in nature combined with sulfur in the red mineral cinnabar, which is especially found in countries where volcanoes are active, as in Italy, Spain, and Mexico. It is also called quicksilver, and though classified as a metal, it exists as a liquid at ordinary temperature. For many centuries, cinnabar was used for making the red pigment called vermilion. It was also used as thiamasol in the manufacture of mascara and other cosmetics. When an electric current is passed through the vapors of mercury, it gives off ultraviolet light, which the dermatologists use in phototherapy. From ancient times, as early as 415 BC, mercury was used in medical therapeutics. It exists in three forms: organic, inorganic, and elemental. It is a protoplasmic poison and can be freely absorbed by the respiratory epithelium and also through the skin and gastrointestinal tract. Its excretion is mainly via the kidneys. Mercury was the standard treatment for syphilis in the 18th century. Its prolonged use caused, among other things, side effects, severe and painful gingivostomatitis, which caused the patients to become edentulous. And this prompted the famous saying, "One night with Venus and 3 months with Mercury." It was also used in many skin diseases like psoriasis and tinea. It was found in ophthalmic drops, teething powder, and as a diuretic. I recall, as an undergraduate medical student in the 60s, using a drug called Mercury, which was nothing but a mercurial diuretic. Teething powder containing mercury used to be a favorite household remedy for a variety of childhood illness. Later, when it was found that it causes acrodynia, which is red, painful extremities, irritability, and sometimes followed by death in very young children, it was discarded. Digressing a little bit into history, Thomas Dover graduated in medicine from Oxford in 1687, and he practiced for a while in Bristol. Then he got bored, and in 1708 he joined a buccaneering ship as captain of marines. This was a 30-gun British man of war, which went sailing and raiding and plundering the Spanish settlements along the coast of South America. And there he became popular on two counts. One was the so-called Dover powder, which was used extensively in all types of fevers. But it was nothing but the compound powder of ipecacuanha found in the pharmacopoeia, which was an opium derivative. Secondly, he prescribed mercury extensively as a cure for many diverse ailments, and so much so he was known as the quicksilver doctor. Mercury was also used for all and sundry skin diseases. Hence, the famous surgeon anatomist John Hunter said, all skin diseases can be divided into three classes. One group which can be cured by mercury, the second group by sulfur, and the third group which the devil himself cannot cure. Simple classification of skin diseases by John Hunter. Human beings are still being exposed to mercury. One is via tattoos, in which the red color is given by mercury pigment. The other is through the amalgam used by dentists. Mercury containing soaps were very popular once as lightening soaps. But then it was found to cause prenatal and postnatal toxicity in women who gave birth to infants, since the mercury can pass across the placental barrier. So they banned that soap. The other unexpected source of mercury is from crematoria, where the burning of bodies containing mercury amalgam caused the release of mercury vapor into the atmosphere. To reduce this pollution, the UK government in 2006 they issued statutory guidelines to crematoria to be fitted with mercury control equipment. The most common source of mercury pollution, however, used to be from broken thermometers and to a less extent from broken mercury-containing sphygmomanometers, the BP apparatus. The German physicist Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit in 1714 is credited with the discovery of the mercury thermometer. Almost every household used to have this in their first aid kit. Over the years, mercury from broken thermometers was found to be an environmental hazard and so unacceptable from an ecological point of view. So Sweden first banned the import and manufacture of mercury thermometers in 1991, and many other countries followed suit. Mercury as amalgam is still being used by dentists. It's easy to handle and it's very long-standing. The amalgam is a mixture of elemental and inorganic mercury. There is no risk to the patient or to the dentist during the insertion of the amalgam. But during attempts at removal, vapor of mercury is produced, which when inhaled by the patient or the dentist can be harmful. A few cases of oral lichen planus have been blamed on the amalgam fillings. But since removal of this amalgam poses greater risk, it is better to leave the amalgam in situ. Significant amounts of mercury can be ingested by those who eat large quantities of fish, particularly tuna and shellfish. Thiamasol, previously used as a preservative in vaccines, was a source of mercury. Mercury is a melanotoxin and hence dermatologists started using it to lighten the skin color. The strong desire to become fairer is shared globally and promoted in media. As ammoniated mercury, it was introduced first in the market in the first decade of the 20th century as the active ingredient of many cosmetics and toiletries. From there, it morphed into a skin lightening agent. It probably bleaches the skin by inactivating the sulfitryl enzymes. Paradoxically, chronic use of mercury causes a brownish pigmentation of face and neck due to the accumulation of mercury granules in the dermis. Systemic absorption from the skin application can present as diarrhea, fatigue, weakness, insomnia, myalgia, paresthesia, and loss of taste. Hence, the European Union prohibits the use of mercury in its constituent countries. Other cutaneous side effects which may occur are allergic contact dermatitis, flushing, erythroderma, gingivostomatitis, and nail brittleness. Systemically absorbed mercury can affect the central nervous system, the kidneys, and the respiratory system. And in the CNS, it manifests as tremors, peripheral neuropathy, and depression. Renal damage consists of tubular injury in acute cases of mercury toxicity and as glomerular damage in chronic exposure. When volatilized mercury is inhaled, it causes severe irritation to the respiratory tract and may lead on to pulmonary edema, which may require ventilatory support. So, prevention of mercury toxicity is always better where mercury is concerned. A few steps in this direction are: 1. Not to use thiamasol in vaccines. It has already been eliminated. 2. Stop using mercury thermometer and BP apparatus containing mercury. 3. Avoid eating fish likely to have high mercury content. 4. Avoid dental amalgam. And 5. Avoid mercury in cosmetics. Because mercury has very little indication in modern therapeutics. The threat of narcissus is still present in the present generation, and it will continue as long as we indulge in fairness products. Let's keep mercury toxicity in mind whenever we are presented with patients with unusual symptoms. Thank you.